And we're live. Yep.
Okay. Welcome to Activate Your Power Now for Pieces of Power. This is our last event of the year, Marching Away from Madness. Now, before we start, I want to collect some data. What does madness mean to you guys? Just shout it out.
Chaos.
Chaos?
Bullshit.
Bullshit? Okay.
Doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result.
Yes. Insanity. See, that was quoted by what? Who? Albert Einstein?
Yes.
And he said, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. Dave, how many of us do that?
A lot. On a daily basis.
We march intentionally into madness, thinking what? That we can change it, that we can shape it, that we can bend it to our will. And sometimes we end up getting lost in that madness, self-sabotaging our success, trying to make it to work for our highest good, but sometimes we fall short. But with that, with the power that we have to march into madness, we also hold the power to march away.
Yes.
And with that being said, that's why we're here today, to really understand what it means and how to march away from madness. We have a lineup of about 7 speakers today. They came really showcase their stories and how they stepped away and what they learned along the way. Because even though it may seem at times that it's embedded in us for us to fall into these traps, to want to march in and kind of change the way madness reflects back to us, it's not always true. We can march away. We have the power. And with that being said, we want to introduce the first speaker.
Yeah. So our first speaker, starting today, she goes by Izzy, the intentional healer. Isabel Luz Camacho Black. Give her a hand.
Hello, everybody here today, and hello, everybody online. As always, I like to start by giving you thanks and really share my appreciation that you all took the time out of your day to be here today. We all have busy lives. That's a given. But to not only be here for ourselves, but to be here for each other, that really is what has helped me stay consistent in marching away from the madness of life.
Yes.
So thank you to all. It is an honor to be here with you, and thank you for being here to share space with me. To all of you online, thank you for tuning in or catching us on the replay. Please reach out if you'd like to learn more about what we do here and becoming a part of the community and how you can get on stage and speak as well. So share a part of your story, because with Activate Your Power Now, that's what we are, a community of people who have maybe not fully embraced our story yet. It's okay, but we've embraced it enough to know that our story is worth sharing.
Yes.
If we walk through that fear, we help other people break through those fear barriers. So we welcome all. We want you to be a part. I wanted to make sure I put that out there so that you could come be a part of our community. You can share your awesomeness with us, and you can see what this awesome community is really about. So I'm Isabel Luz Camacho Black, or Izzy, the intentional healer. And I'm an intentional healer because I have chosen, right? We've talked the power of choice before. I have chosen to be the change in my life. I have chosen to go on a healing process of my own, knowing that my commitment to myself is naturally, organically going to help other people awaken to their truth and their story. So again, it's an honor to be here. It's an honor to share my story. As I was prepping for marching away from the madness, I was thinking, wow, a common thing that I've been hearing these last couple months in my own thoughts and in my close circle, and extended out to other activators or other people I have met in AYPN or BTBY community. And a common theme was, I want to get healthy. I want to lose weight. I need to gain weight. I want to get my blood sugar levels down, or my blood pressure, right? And we all have our reasons. But as I'm hearing a common theme happening around me, and again, I catch patterns pretty quick in life. I was like, you know, I'm not very satisfied myself with what the choices I have made on being intentional with what I consume in my vessel, in my body. And it's showing, right? At first it started creeping up as foggier thoughts, or feeling sluggish or tired, or the achiness in my body. But before I knew it, my clothes wasn't exactly going on the way it was going on the last couple years. And, you know, I had to be accountable. I had to start asking myself the hard questions. What was I doing? What was I doing then that was allowing me to be in a state of feeling good, feeling well connected, right, with my surrender to God, to what I believe is my creator, ultimate good, with spending time meditating and taking those nature walks. I was starting to be tired. It was a task, you know, when before it was such a blessing. So that was my intention of what I was going to come talk about, because I felt like so many people needed to hear it, and I needed to speak it into myself. But as I was prepping for that talk, we have a lot of returning speakers here and speakers who speak on other stages. Real quick, a show of hands, and even all of you, how many times have you prepped for something, a conversation, a speech, something, and you have it down pat, right? You're going to hit every mark, and your mouth opens and it's not your voice coming out. It's not your message. You're just as surprised as the person being poured into is receiving it. And that's kind of how I felt as I was prepping for this, because man, I was like, tell me who isn't trying to get healthy. Tell me who, because everybody I'm encountering, they're doing some kind of shift, some kind of change. They're acknowledging something about their well-being. But he said, no. Marching away from the madness. Do you not realize how many times you have marched away from the madness? I'm like, well, God, when you want to put it that way, yeah, I guess I have. But as I started replaying the story, the words of doubt and the words of shame started coming forth again, because I was always a runner. My parents were runners. My mom was a runner. You don't know how to stay still long enough, right? To build any roots, to show who you really are. You can carry any facade when you're bouncing around here and there, dismissing things and people without even thinking twice. And I carried that as a shameful thing for many years. Many years. I know it's hard to believe I had a life before my beautiful husband, David, but I had a whole messy, disgusting life. You know, that's what they were saying, at least, because they didn't understand that confidence I had within of me knowing who I was and what I thought needed to happen next in my life. And I'm talking about as a little kid, right? I'm calling shots in my own life, and people are just making the way for me to call the shots. So the ego starts growing, right? Oh, I'm really good at this. I know how to get my way in life. And the first thing I knew I needed to utilize was this voice, right? Stand tall, be confident. Look him in the eye. You know, so as I'm reflecting, I'm seeing all this, but he's reminding me, and what the message that was being given to me was not to just dwell on my story, right? Sure, I've gone through a lot, and it's hard, you know, for all of us who really have those stories that are really books and movies. There's a lot of us out there. It's hard for other people who haven't experienced it to understand. But the whole message behind what I was being given and me reflecting in this and me remembering what people were labeling me, calling me, and what I was attaching to myself, a single mom, still bouncing around. Oh, she says she wants better. Sure, she might not be using or selling drugs anymore or doing all of those things, but she can't even stay still with her kids or keep a job longer than, what, a couple months this year, a couple years. Wow, okay, that's impressive. Not impressive enough, right? So I carried all of that for many years. And as I was reflecting, God wanted me to take a note on these 3 things. He actually had me write these 3 things down on Thursday while I was prepping for a different speech I need to give for the BTBY virtual event coming up. And I just wrote down 3 bullet points that God gave me that I knew I was going to give a 5-minute message. And he told me after I wrote them, actually, no, this is what you were missing about yourself while you were being brave enough to continuously march away from the madness. Because every time I walked away, I walked into something better. I walked into an opportunity. I got to meet new people. I got to experience new places. And I got to learn a lot of things for myself because remember, I just have this thing about seeing patterns in my life. And once I see a pattern, I either embrace it or I rebuke it. You know, and I don't just see it about myself. I see it within other people. I don't rebuke other people anymore. I used to. Because I figured if I could do it, you could too. I didn't have no room for compassion or grace or all those beautiful things that have now been activated within me. But what I know to be true is that if I'm holding other people in that light, that's only because it's a reflection of what I truly hold myself. I was not forgiving myself, right? Here's the 3 things, and then I'll go ahead and be done. So the first thing on being the change for myself, right? Marching away from the madness is the willingness to experience newly. The willingness to experience newly. For me, I had to really start, I had to put an emphasis on learning how to listen newly. So even though I experienced you 10 million times before, this new declaration, I was willing to step in front of you again and listen to you differently, which required me to cállate la boca, shut it, zip it. Or as I say, shut the fuck up. That's how the message had to get to me for me to understand. That's the energy that has to come behind. If you feel it, you mean it. Shut the fuck up. You talk too much and you're not listening enough. And I don't care that they've said the same thing to you over and over. You're not listening. Listen newly. It did wonderful changes in all relationships in my life. And then the willingness to try new things. I wasn't scared to walk away. I knew there was something new coming and I was excited. People told me I loved adventures and I'm like, adventure loves me. I'm just existing. Okay. So take advantage of every opportunity that comes your way, right? If it feels right. If it feels right, you know that. You know the answer to that. I don't. Second thing was trust. Trusting self, right? Knowing that I am created in the image of my creator. So if I'm practicing the surrender, what's there not to trust? What is there not to trust? So I had to trust myself that I am worthy of being used for his will. And then surrendering myself to that. And then comes trusting the process, because the process is everything outside of your personal choices that you get to put your feet down and make, right? But you have to trust that whatever it is you're needing in your activation growth to be watered, those seeds and stuff, he needs to bring people and situations to you to practice that muscle. So stay strong, reach out to anybody in our community if you have a power that you feel you need to work on activating further and building that daily process. And the last thing is confidence. Own who you are. But that requires extreme accountability. That means own the bullshit, as Laura likes to say. Own that too. Own who you are, take extreme accountability, and then also be willing to own who you are becoming, because growth is inevitable. Everything is changing as we speak, as we stand here. Our bodies are not waiting for our permission to generate our hair growth, our skin's new growth, our nails growing, the energy that's changing, conforming, because my voice is being spread out and breaking the matrix of the energy right now. Extreme accountability. Own who you're becoming. Change is happening. So if you don't like who you are today or who someone else is, it's okay. Know that it's changing, but change on purpose. Change on purpose. Intentional living. Have a good day.
Thank you, Izzy, the intentional healer, for delivering that beautiful message. What I got from that was, 1 point, embracing patterns and releasing them. And at the same time, recognizing that you marched away from madness so many times in the past that you can do it again. You have the power to march in and the power to march out. So when that cake is calling you and you're trying to lose weight and you eat it, it's okay. So with that being said, we have our next speaker coming to the stage. I just learned that she's from Texas. And so she's been marching into madness, the madness of Missouri weather. So she's about to show us and tell us what she's marching away from. Let's give it up for Jen Dickey.
Cunning, baffling, powerful. 3 words that I have been integrating and battling with for 21 years. Alcoholism and drug addiction was not prominent in the household that I grew up in. I had relatives, aunts, uncles, grandparents who struggled with addiction. And I never thought it would be me. So my life has been a journey of overcoming. My life has been a journey of experiences that I have questioned, why me? And today I try to ask the question, why not me?
Yes.
And so there's vulnerability in being here in this space today, sharing, and yet I feel called to share my experience, strength, and hope. November 19th of 2023, I celebrated 9 years of recovery. And today, I carry this chip in my pocket, symbolizing 247 days of continuous sobriety.
Yes.
And it has taken me over the last 8 months working through my shame, working through my insecurity over my relapse. And I'm not one that I thought I was going to be a one-chip wonder. So you go through the program, you collect the whole set, and then good to go for life. Not the case. It doesn't matter how successful you are. It doesn't matter your socioeconomic status. It doesn't matter how successful you think you are or think you aren't. Addiction is a disease. It is the madness that we're talking about today. And yet, we do recover.
Yes.
If we have the capacity to be honest, if we are willing to immerse ourselves in community. I realized that the reason that I went back out was not because I wanted to. It was because I was in a place of so much pain with my circumstances. And although over the 21 years I've been in and out of the rooms of recovery, I haven't ended up incarcerated, which shocks me personally. I have been institutionalized. And thankfully, death is not my story today. And I realize that this is a disease that is progressive, that it floored me how even after 9 years of not putting drugs and alcohol in my body, how quickly all of that came back and how I nearly lost everything. Even friendships that were in my life. I had people that were reaching out to me, wanting to help me, but I couldn't help myself until I did. Until July 4th, 2024, when I came drunkenly staggering back into the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. That is my Independence Day. Freedom over addiction. And I realize that not everybody here has a story of addiction to drugs and alcohol. But what we do all have in common are addictions to even toxic thinking or patterns or things that we have in our life that are not our highest and best. So how do we get to a place where we are operating from that highest and best? I believe it's about being honest.
Yes.
It's about showing others, people that you trust, who you are. So that way when you're struggling, when you're distancing yourself from who you are, you're able to realize, and others are able to realize when you're having challenges. And they can call that out in you, and they see that light in you, and they remind you of the truth of who and whose you are. And I'm so grateful for that. I'm so grateful that for one day at a time, one moment at a time, I'm here. I'm alive. And I have a story to tell, just as we all have a story to tell. So marching away from the madness, from the chaos of everything that is going on in our mind, all the fears, the insecurities of what's going to happen tomorrow, what's happening in our economy, what's all of that, to then come back into that heart space, back into that space of peace and calm, and remembering that all is truly well. And my higher power, whom I choose to call God, is ever faithful, has never given up on me, has loved me through all circumstances and helped me through all circumstances. And that, along with community, along with honesty and accountability, is what allows me to stand here today and to share experience, strength, and hope. So it's not about what you look like in the madness. It's about how you march through it. Because everything that we experience in our lives, all the challenges that we have, we are not defined by that. I am so much more than a drug addict and an alcoholic. And I have to tell you how damn good that feels to stay here and how empowered I feel in saying that, because the mind will tell you, you are your circumstances. That's all you are. That is that toxic thinking. That is that negativity. And we're all in the process, whatever that looks like, of marching away from that. So I'd encourage you today, and I'd invite you to take a look at what is keeping you stuck. What is it that's keeping you small? What is it that wants to limit you and take you down, and explore what's feeding that? And surround yourself with community. I can't tell you how important it is to have community and to surround yourself with reminders of hope. Because every single person I see in this room, and everyone who is watching online either now or later, y'all are miracles. And every one of us is a teacher, and we are here to teach other people and reflect the light and love of truth and power and peace and joy. I don't want my story to be one that ends in addiction. I want my life to be one that is lived thriving, happy, joyous, and free. And step by step, one day at a time, one moment at a time. That's how we get there. And for that, and so much more, I'm grateful. Thank you.
Thank you for being vulnerable and sharing your story. Thank you for trusting in yourself and being strong in those moments when it's easy to be weak. For showing us, everybody online and in person, that your past doesn't define your future. And you have the power to rise above your circumstances, to rise above your nature through marching through it to the other side and realizing that there's so much beauty in store for you.
So our next speaker coming up, we know her all as a gardener. We can say she has a green thumb.
Yep.
Give it up for Julia.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Everyone who signs up to speak kind of knows that it's a process, because the closer you get and the more you start thinking about it and the more you talk to people about it, what you think you've got to say in the beginning has absolutely nothing to do with what it ends up being in the end, because you just constantly get a stream of input and experiences, and things will happen and come up that'll take it in different directions. And even the two prior speakers already have fed into the things I have to say. I think I have had a lot of chaos in my life, and I did a lot of thinking to begin with, like, what are sources of chaos? And initially you generally think of all the bad kinds of chaos, because I looked up the definition, and the primary definers of chaos is uncertainty, which for a lot of us leads to fear. And we like to know that we're going to get a paycheck every other week, or that this person is going to be there for us. The house is going to be stable. The car is going to run. And it's really good when most of life on a given day is like that. But honestly, it would be really boring if it was always like that. And yet when chaos rules, it can be really scary. And some of it, we have no control over it. You know, a tornado or a tsunami hits. You have someone close to you or yourself struggling with addictions or alcoholism or mental illness. And so you never know from day to day how that's going to look. But there's also good kinds of chaos. A friend of mine pointed out falling in love is chaos. Taking a new job is chaos. Having a new baby is the ultimate chaos, and yet who would not, most of us would choose that, and in spite of the late nights of colic and all the uncertainty in there. Those who have teenagers or can remember when we were teenagers, that is on the same level or maybe even above having a baby. It's that process of going from childhood to adulthood, and who you are one day may be completely different than who you are tomorrow or next week, depending on your experiences or hormones or something that happened at school or whatever. I mean, those are all just parts of life. So chaos isn't always bad. At one point I was thinking of Shiva, who is kind of like the god of chaos, but it's the great destroyer and creator. And it's usually chaotic when we're letting go of old patterns or going from one phase of life to another. But it has to happen to clear out the old, to break it up so we can get to the new. And I love what Izzy said about every time she's walked away, what she has walked into has been better. But when you're in it, and especially if it's a lot of stuff that you didn't invite in or can't control. I mean, think of what federal employees are going through right now. You never know from day to day what's going to happen. Those are all, or whether there's a lot you don't have. You can get a disease that can crop up. You could have a bad car accident because of whatever. I mean, nothing's guaranteed. And all those things bring uncertainty. How am I going to pay the bills? Am I going to walk and talk again? Is my loved one going to be okay? And I'm talking on where you find moments of peace. And I got them when I came through the doors of a 12-step program and didn't think there was anything remotely like peace in my life. I was really miserable. If I hadn't made it through, I don't know that I would still be here today. But I felt so much shame over all the things that I was not managing well or not getting done. And several things happened. And one, the importance you mentioned of community. People in those rooms were laughing and joking and talking and having fun. And I was just like astounded because I don't think I'd smiled in at least a year. It was not a happy time in my life. And learning that other people have been where you've been, and some of them even have been through worse things. When you think you are the only one in the world that is living like that nobody else can possibly be going through the same things. Connecting with people that have been there and come out the other side or are going through it now is the biggest blessing, I think, in the world, is to realize you're not alone. Because when you're in chaos and fear, a lot of times you think everybody else has it all together. Their relationships are great, their bills are paid, their kids are happy, healthy, and A students, whatever. You think you are the only one dealing with these difficult things. And community is a lifesaver. And in spite of social media and all that, I think most people crave and have trouble finding community now than they ever have in the past. We're more isolated. We're surrounded by more ways to connect, but we don't really connect authentically as often. That is huge. The other thing, she was like, have the kids been fed tonight? Yeah. Do they have clean clothes for tomorrow? Yeah. Don't worry about the rest of it. Which was huge for me because all I saw was the mountains of everything, and I couldn't slow it down to what's just in front of me. And 90% of the time, probably 95 or 99, even in chaos, if we can bring it down to just this moment, right where we are today, we're usually safe. There's usually not a saber-toothed tiger chasing us in spite of the adrenaline rushing through our body, the cortisol, all the stress hormones are making us go, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. The kids are fed tonight. They've got clean clothes for tomorrow. The lights are on, there's a roof over my head. I'm safe. But I didn't used to know how to slow down and see that. Connecting with trust in a higher power was huge, which I also didn't have at one time. But years of living in chaos forced me to learn to trust, because a miracle would always happen. I didn't know where help would come from or how things were going to get done, but it always did. It always did. And a lot of times from completely unexpected, sometimes anonymous sources. And we survived, and the kids all made it to adulthood, and then grandkids are making it to adulthood now. I learned to appreciate the little bitty things that I can control. You know, your cup of coffee or tea in the morning for most people is like huge. That can be one moment of peace in your day. Give yourself just that amount of time, even if you got to get up a little early for it, to just sit there in peace and enjoy that. When you get little gifts from God, like sunrises and sunsets and rainbows, and sometimes thunderstorms, can be awesome, especially when you're in chaos and you were really feeling that energy anyway. Those are moments of peace. Trusting the process, knowing there are still good things in life, there's still beautiful things in life. Humor can be a bumper sticker, can be a joke from a friend, can be just a situation that cracks you up. I recommend laughing every chance you get, because I think life can be tough and laughter is healing and brings peace, or at least breaks the tension. Realizing that sometimes you do have a choice in chaos. You want that new job. You want to relocate, or you want to go on a vacation by yourself to the coast and see what happens. You're choosing the adventure, and that can be empowering. It's like I said, with having a baby, that's a lot of chaos. Having a teenager, which that baby eventually grows into, that's a lot of chaos. But you're choosing it because you know it's going to be worth it. Taking the risk to move to the town of your dreams, or maybe find the love of your life. It's somehow empowering on the bad times of knowing you chose this and the outcome may still be really good. And if it's not, you can walk away into something better and always try again. So hold on to your moments of peace, and know that when you get through chaos, things are going to reshape, and it may be better than you've ever dreamed.
Yes.
Thank you for that strengthening message, Julie. I don't know about y'all, but these last couple of years have been very chaotic, and to break it down as good chaos, bad chaos, and being able to use that energy to transform your life, and understanding that the common denominator is how you react, and you can choose differently. Your perception of the situation plays a powerful role in how you receive the information coming into your life. That's very peaceful. Kind of sit with that and really understand that, again, if you march in, you can march out. So with our next speaker, she is the group's photographer, always getting our good sides. She's a woman of many talents, entrepreneur of life. Let's give it up for Abigail.
What an introduction. Let me make sure I'm right in the, it's going to mess with me later when I watch this footage and I'm like, oh, I was off to the wrong side of it. Hi, everyone. Good morning. And just, thank you for having me again. For me, AYPN has been activating. I mean, to say the very least, it's when I walked on the stage 2 years ago, Izzy had reached out. She had asked me, will you please just come and watch the speakers? And then I ended up speaking that night. And I was in a mutually abusive relationship, and I had this mask on. And so, like, even this morning, what Miss Julie said and Izzy said, it's just you're reactivated every time you're within your community and you're within your tribe. And what really resonated for me this morning so far, because I had a speech, I promise I did, but when you come in here, you're just like relit into your purpose. And you get more people in a room that all believe in you, and then you start believing in yourself. But what resonated with me this morning was, man, when I'm shaking right now, because when you talk about chaos, I am, and a lot of people don't know my full story or my day to day, but I am 31 years old. I have an older brother with special needs. I take care of my 2 grandparents that are in their 80s, and I have a daughter with special needs. And I'm doing this solo, and so my day-to-day life is chaos. It is chaos from the moment we wake up to the moment we go to sleep, and I would not have it any other way. I really wouldn't. And I'm a crybaby, so I'm going to try really hard to hold my tears in. But, when you said just Miss Jen was like, one moment at a time. That is what I really want to get across, is that whatever chaos you have, whether it's controllable or not controllable, whether you can really, like, in owning up to that, you have that power. You have that power within you to decide, okay, am I going to freak out right now? Is this, getting the kids to school on time? I'm outnumbered from the jump. I have to, there's things I have to do in the morning before anyone else awakes, just so we can have a semi-calming morning. And I wasn't raised in calmness at all. So this is all self-taught. Everything that I know, from the time I have to be up 3 hours before their day even begins to I have to stay awake 3 hours after they've laid their head to bed, that's something I had to learn. And I had to make a choice that if their lives were going to be better and my life was going to be better, I had to figure it out. And I had to figure it out. And one of the big things was putting myself into communities of people that enrich your life, and they teach you things without making you feel little. And they really, there's multiple people sitting in this room that I've had moments of weakness. And for a long time, I would tell myself for a long time that there are people that have it worse. I'm not in survival mode. There are people that have it worse. I have food every night. I have a roof over my head, I have a few good people that care about me and give a shit about when I'm quiet, And so I'm not in survival mode, but until I recognize, Abigail, you are. You are just surviving, girl. You're just surviving, until I could really stop holding so much shame in what I wasn't, that I was able to really be like, this is what I am. This is who I am. I am capable of this, this, and this, only because I could realize that survival mode doesn't always have to be ugly. It doesn't have to be ugly. It's a process. There's no perfection in it. It's just the process, being able to process your presence. Just process what's going on in each day, with my chaotic life. It's sunny outside, and my girls are probably bouncing off the walls right now as I speak to you today. So we're probably going to have to go and run some of this energy off. And, that's the beauty in taking each moment. And it's like, okay, does there need to be some sort of schedule, and does there need to be some sort of research within yourself? I wasn't always a morning person, but I was able to become one because I really felt, well, why aren't you a morning person? What do you need, Abigail, to be able to wake up? Is it inspiration? Do you need to be inspired tomorrow morning? And these are things that you have to research on yourself. Why do you snap out when a small, inconvenience ruins your day? That was me for a long time. I was willing to do, like, oh my God, I don't know, just, and like my kids were feeling this energy from me. And it was then, the ripple effect is your kids are seeing you drowning. You're not swimming, you're drowning, and they are in survival mode too now. And for me, that was huge to be able to say, oh no, I don't want to carry this on. I don't want them to carry this weight. And so I have to learn how to swim. And that was huge for me. And the sobriety, getting one with myself, I recently talked about this, was I got on and off the wagon so many times that people just wrote me off. They were like, oh, she said she was sober, but, and for me, I'm a California sober. I don't know if you know what that is, but it just means that God's greenery is, that's how I function. Everyone's know how you're so calm. That's how I'm so calm. And I used to feel shame in that, though. I used to feel so much shame in that, but I built companies. And I've mentored other companies, and I opened a podcast, multiple, and it's like I did all of these things withholding pieces of me. I wasn't allowing everyone to be in my life because of those shameful moments. You feel shame in it, and then you're almost like you don't want to get too close to people because they're going to judge you. You don't want to get too close. So to be able to step marching away from the madness, I would say sometimes you got to march with it. You have to march with your madness. You can't wait for the perfect anything to happen because it's not coming. It's never going to be a perfect day. You know, it's still going to be chilly. It's still going to be windy. Whatever it is, it's never going to be perfect. And so you have to just be able to process where you're at, who you are, and just dig into that. You know, where are you at in life? What do you want? And I still don't know. I hope that nobody took that as I got to figure it out because I don't. But when I do, you know, that's still going to be my piece of my journey. You know, that's my story. And that's what's so beautiful about AYPN is we all have different stories. We all come in here with different shoes on every day and we walk different steps, but we can still be able to share our stories with each other and somebody feels like, man, I'm not alone. I'm not alone in this. I can do this. I can go and, you know, run off some energy at the park now for 3 hours because I got my hugs in, you know, my 9 essential hugs a day. Yes. So thank you all for giving me the space and time. I appreciate you all. And I hope that, you know, wherever you're at right now, if you can't physically, if not at the point where you have marched away from the madness, because like Izzy says, you're going to do that too. You're going to do that too. More beautiful things will come, but just march with it. Just stay alive, you know? Thank you guys.
Thank you, Abigail, for dropping those beautiful gems. I know Julie said earlier something about good chaos, bad chaos, good chaos being having a family, having kids, right? Being an entrepreneur and starting businesses and having those facets and those aspects of your life pull you in different directions. But what you touched on, what you emphasized was slowing down and processing one moment at a time. Because there's times where we get in chaos, we want to just move through it as fast as possible, and we end up skipping steps. So your ability to stay with it and see it as a gift in disguise and understand that there's something there for me, whether it's a wound that needs to be healed, something that needs to be seen, a rock that needs to be flipped over, your ability to be with that is so powerful. Thank you. Something to say?
Yeah, I just loved it. Just trust the process, you know. There's never going to be a perfect day. Just embrace the days that you get, you know.
All right, so next up, we have a returning speaker, a popular speaker, a guy that everybody loves. He comes in with a smile, always the same disposition, a big heart. Let's give it up for Coffee Cup Chuck.
What's good, people?
Good.
It's your boy, international speaker, Coffee Cup Chuck. And today I thank you all for being here. I want to share with you a deep personal story, a story of pain and redemption, and a difficult decision to step away from a toxic cycle. This is the story of how I learned that sometimes in order to protect the love that you have for someone and your own healing journey, we must choose to walk away from the chaos. I was not always the person that you see standing up here today. My life and my past is marked with repeated mistakes and struggles that has led me down dark paths. Just before my son was born, I found myself behind bars. The weight of my actions were heavy, and I carried that burden with him into his life. I went to jail when I was 5 years old. When he was 5, and I went to jail again when he was 10. You know, and the pain of my mistakes echoed in my son's world. Every time I looked into this boy's eyes, I was reminded of the failures of my past. For many years, my relationship with my son was defined by these painful memories. He grew up haunted by the legacies of my past errors. And in the process, he too became entangled in a web of toxic behaviors. The anger and resentment he carried were so overwhelming that at one point his actions took and turned to violence. There was a day when, and I'll never forget this day, he hit me. In explosive anger, he knocked me out. That incident was a culmination of years of hurt, miscommunication, and unresolved pain. It forced me to be confronted with a heartbreaking truth, people, that despite the love I have for him, our relationship had become irreparably harmful. Even as I struggled to rebuild my life, my son continuously reminded me of the past transgressions that I had. Every remark, every heated word was a painful reminder of the time I had lost, the mistakes that I had made, and the opportunities that I squandered. I understood that my actions had consequences, not just for me, but for the ones that I love the most. I realized that in order to truly heal and to create a future filled with hope, possibilities, I needed to change my own life first. And so I did. I made the decision, people. I decided to reclaim my life from the shadows of my past. I returned to school, determined to educate myself and to break the cycle of the mistakes that I had once used to define me. I pursued a degree in business and science marketing, a field that opened many doors for me, new opportunities, and that challenged me to think critically about how to build something meaningful in my life. This was not an easy road, though. It required sacrifice, persistence, and a willingness to face the hard truths of my past head on. But it was a journey of transformation, a journey that ultimately allowed me to launch a small business that has now not only provided stability for me, but has also created an opportunity for my son to prosper. I worked hard day in and day out to prove to myself that I was more than just my past, people. I wanted to create a legacy of success, not out of regret. I believe that by improving my own life, I could offer my son a better future, a future where he could see that change was possible, that mistakes did not have to define us forever. Yet despite all of the efforts and the progress I made, our relationship continues to suffer. His behavior, his toxic behavior, his outbursts, and the disrespect he often showed me created an environment where love and understanding were in constant conflict with pain and with his anger. I tried, people. I truly did, time and time again, to bridge this gap between us. I reached out to him with compassion, offering understanding, support, and guidance, but I prayed for him, hoping that he would one day see the possibility of a different path. I reminded him of the opportunities that our new life had to offer, and I shared with him the lessons that I had learned in my own long, painful journey to change. But sometimes, even with all of the love in your heart, you have to recognize when a relationship has become more damaging than nurturing. There comes a point in life when you must choose between staying in the chaos or walking away for the sake of your own well-being. For me, that point was clear. Despite my love for my son, his relentless behavior had become so toxic for me that I couldn't continue to subject myself to that kind of emotional and physical harm. I realized that I could no longer be the person who tried to fix everything. Sometimes the most courageous thing that you can do is to let go. Walking away did not mean that I stopped loving him, though. It meant that I chose to love him from a distance. I chose to protect my own peace and to cultivate an environment where I could continue to grow, heal, and to succeed. I prayed for him, though, believing that someday he might find out and find his own way and find his way out of this cycle of violence and pain that he ignored himself in. I recognize that sometimes the best form of love is to step back and step away and let them learn their own journey. This decision was not made lightly, though. It was the result of countless sleepless nights, deep introspection, and a painful realization that my well-being and the well-being of the people around me depended on breaking free from the endless cycles of hurt. I came to understand that sometimes in a toxic relationship, no matter how much love is present, it can sometimes stiffen your growth, breach resentment, and ultimately harm both parties. There's an immense strength in walking away and choosing self-respect over the chaos, people. Today, I stand before you as a testament to the power of change. I stand before you as someone who has learned from the mistakes of his past and who is now embracing a future built on hope, determination, and the courage to do what's best for oneself. I know that this journey has not been easy and that the scars, both visibly and invisible, will always remain a part of me. But I also know that these scars serve as a reminder of how far I have come and of the lessons that I have learned along the way. There is a profound truth in the idea that sometimes you have to let go in order to truly move forward. It is not a sign of weakness, people, but of wisdom. There are times when the relationships we cherish can become a source of constant pain. And in those moments, choosing to step away, the only way for you to honor your own self-worth. It is a decision that comes with heartache, yet it's also one that paves the way to healing and growth. I want to leave you guys with a thought, a famous reminder that encapsulates this difficult journey. As the Buddha once said, holding on to anger is like grasping hot coal with the intentions of throwing it on someone. You're the one who gets burned. These words remind us that in the midst of chaos and hurt, clinging on to anger and toxicity only harms ourselves. Sometimes the kindest acts we can offer is to let go and allow ourselves the freedom to heal. I know you guys have somebody in your life that is hard to let go of. It was hard for me to let go of my son, but it was something that was not just hard, but it was healthy. So today I do encourage you, I encourage you all to understand how important you are, how important your strength is, and to continue to understand that walking away from the chaos doesn't mean that you're walking out of love. Thank you for listening to this powerful message. Hope you all enjoy the rest of your day. And as always, stay positive, people.
Thank you, Chuck, for being a living testament. Because sometimes words can only go so far, but embodying transformation in the flesh, that touches you in places that you didn't even know was there. That's activation. I know my dad's mom, he told me, well, he told him and he told me, he said, just because you're born somewhere doesn't mean you have to act like it. So your ability to rise above the nature of your circumstances you were born in, to not allow your past to define who you are presently, to shape your future, and to step outside of the madness is so powerful. Your ability to be true with yourself, but also paint a vision of who and what you want to do going forward. And also realizing that with each breath that you take every single day, there's always the gift of grace to touch your life for you and your son. So holding out and being receptive to that, that's another strength right there. So thank you, Chuck, for showing us what it looks like to be embodied, to be activated, and to be a beacon of love, a beacon of truth and understanding in our community, to people online, people in person. Got anything to say, Dave?
Yeah, just amazing. Just how Chuck decided to take the higher road, not for himself, but for his son. You know, that's a hard thing to let go, even if it's a bad situation. Yeah, just thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
So coming up next, I'll let her introduce herself, but she has a powerful story. And she's been a speaker on our stage before, a speaker of many stages. So let's give it up for Kimberly.
Okay, so if you have seen me speak before, I don't know what it is about when I'm putting together my message, songs pop into my head. And I know one of the last times I spoke, It's a Hard Knock Life. Like that song just kept playing, and so I had to share it. I think music is a very powerful thing. Today, listening to everyone else speak, there's so many things that everyone hit on that I could just probably talk for hours. And there are so many things that each one of you said that I'm like, those are exactly things that I wrote down when I was preparing for my speech. And so because we know that I like to talk a lot and sometimes I can get distracted, especially with everything that's been said and things that I want to reiterate, I'm going to use this opportunity to kind of read off to you what I had compiled, because I want you to take a second and listen to how, like what Izzy has put together, how so many of our stories are linked and we all have such similar experiences, even if it's not like the exact same circumstance. So there was a time in my life where I felt like I was constantly picking up the pieces of who I thought I should be, typically at someone else's expense, trying to rescue them, or trying to fit in myself. We've heard it today. How many of you are fixers in here?
Yes.
Like you want to rescue because you want to help someone.
Right.
But so often we forget that we have to fix ourselves before we're able to help others. Until I realized the beauty of being whole, embracing the wild parts of me that I had been too afraid to show because I was such a people pleaser, was always worried about what others would think or what they thought. Most of you have heard of Brene Brown. You're familiar with her work. She always comes from a place of true authenticity. So you'll probably recognize this if you're familiar with her. It comes from Braving the Wilderness. She says, and I quote, "There's a time where standing alone feels too hard, too scary, and will doubt our ability to make it through all of the uncertainty. Someone somewhere will say, don't do it. You don't have what it takes to brave the wilderness." This is where I want you to reach deep inside of yourself and say, I am the wilderness. So often we're too scared to stand alone, afraid of what others will think, so much that we'll betray ourselves and who we are in an attempt to be accepted and fit in. But when we brave the wilderness, embrace the wild, and are willing to take the risk to stand alone in the unpredictable, that is where we become dangerous. Because we can no longer be controlled by our emotions. This will be where the once shattered pieces come together to make a beautiful mosaic masterpiece. The world tells us to be calm, collected, and contained. But the truth is, many of us feel like we're constantly putting on a mask, hiding parts of ourselves that we think aren't good enough, or if people knew, they would call us crazy. This is where vulnerability, shame, and the loss of connection come in. These are the pieces that can often represent the parts of ourselves we hide out of fear of judgment. When we look at the wild, I want you to all envision an African safari. It's untamed, authentic, and unapologetically real. Yet oftentimes, we misunderstand the wild of our life to be chaotic or out of control. When embracing the flaws, the passion, and the mess, that's where the peace comes from. This is a journey of integration, not one of perfection. It's about finding harmony between our fragmented parts and realizing that our peace comes from acceptance, not fixing. The willingness to show up as our authentic selves. Many of you have heard my story. After going through a rough journey, experiencing domestic violence that left me homeless, and starting from ground zero, I realized what I had once been too ashamed to share is what others were experiencing in similar hopeless feeling situations, and they needed to hear. They weren't alone. They still had control of how their story ended. That is where I began to find my voice, and the healing started to follow. Upon finding my voice and self-worth, I found the confidence to start speaking up about things I felt passionately about. If you've heard me speak before, Izzy and I talked about this as soon as I walked in. My passion is to share lifestyle changes and to find true healing through nature. This, unfortunately, would cause me to lose my job at a university hospital a year after I had lost everything because there was no room for that in the system. Again, I would find myself feeling like I was standing all alone. But what I realized was while I felt like I may have been the minority standing alone, I was the courage that others needed to find their true selves when they themselves could not find their voice. So I want you to take a moment and I want you to think about, maybe close your eyes if you need to, what is that wild part inside of you? That thing that maybe you've been hiding or suppressing? I want you to open your eyes, and if you need to, you can write it down, stick it in your phone so it's something that you can reflect on. And I want you to repeat after me, I am the wilderness. I am the wilderness. So I want you to go about your day to day, and I want you to embrace that wild. Own it. And from those pieces, create your own peace. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm gonna say it again. I am the wilderness.
I am.
I know my mom called me a wild child when I was a kid. I grew out of that, more tame, but still a little wild at times. But just getting better at directing that energy and embracing, like you said, embracing those flaws and turning those pieces into power and realizing that the forest itself is self-contained.
Yes.
It feeds itself, it nurtures itself, and that we are all special forests, special jungles. We have that inside of us, and it's our ability to choose how we want to express that to people around us, whether it's in good ways, good chaos, in bad ways, bad chaos. But then again, if we can step in, we can step out. So thank you, Kimberly, for sharing that beautiful message. Isaiah, do you want to introduce our next speaker?
So our next and last speaker for the day, she's no stranger to the stage. She's the healer of queens. She's a doula. Proud to bring up Evie Bowen.
Good morning, good morning.
Good morning.
I just want to say I'm so excited to be here with you guys. I have missed every last one of y'all, and I was so excited to see that we're just so full and everybody's here. So when Izzy was telling me about this subject, I was like, it's March Madness. Oh my God, you know. And then I started thinking about, but what if you're just marching through the fire, right? What if what you're doing is a faith walk in your madness? What if your madness is a result of where you are? What if the fact that you needed it? What if I never went mad, I wouldn't understand when I come out of it, right? So I got to go through something so that I can understand the glory of it, right? See, that when people say that you want to go through something and that you should keep marching. You see, I got the mindset of a soldier, but I've only been in wars with myself. You understand what I'm saying? We get into a place where we are bred to do these things and be these things and become these things, and then we forgot that we weren't things. See, last time I spoke, I said love is a verb, and I talked about nouns and I talked about things, but what happens when you need an action word in your life and you've got no action to put to it? What happens when you need to get something done, when something has to be this way, or you have to get this done? I got to be this person. I got to be this. I should have been married by now. I should have had somebody by now. Somebody should have loved me. I should have been able to do this. I should be this slim. I should be this way. But if I carbon copy myself with everything that I see, then who am I supposed to be? Right? We're so busy trying to worry about the shape that I am. I'm 46 years old. Either love it or lose it, but I can't sit here and wait on you to find the me that you think I'm supposed to be. How can I present you someone different? If I constantly have to revert myself to something else, then the madness is me.
Yes. Yes.
Why am I so willing to let you take from me the me that I am so I can establishly and fit into the box that you've given me? The madness is me. I'm so busy trying to adapt to you, adapt to what you want from me, adapt to who you called me to be, that I started to forget my name. See, the madness became me. See, I put so many people into me that I forgot to pull me out of me, and then I had nothing else to give you. And so the God in me couldn't even shine because I'm too busy being everything that you applied on my line. In December, I talked about having surgery. When I had surgery and everything happened, I'm still healing. And the funny part is the old Evie who got on that table is not who got up off that table, right? Somebody else woke up. I can't be all the things that got me to the table. I'm off the table. So God had surgery with me. See, people say major surgery is all these different things. Your major surgery is considered your head, brain, your heart, and your abdomen. Everywhere else, surgery, I had this done. No. Major is your head. That's your brain. What you're thinking about, who you are. Your heart. If it's not going to keep pumping, I'm not going to be here. But I also can't get so hardened in my heart that my pumping doesn't work. You see what I'm saying? My abdomen, all of these things. We talk about women and we have wombs. But the problem is that not only do I have a womb, but even without a womb, I'm still giving life because God is still planting seeds in me. And if I don't have fertile ground because I'm too busy trying to be everything that you call me around here and the labels you've given me, I don't get to be me. My harvest is not me because the seeds that I'm planted are somebody else's expectations. Somebody else's demands on me. Somebody else's madness is driving me crazy inside of me. How dare I give you that much gift of me that you can plant so much in me that I'm less of me and more of you, and I'm only adapted to who you call me to be. But my name. Who do I get to be if the madness is me? What happens when you're walking through the fire and you can't seem to understand anything about it, but you're not understanding that you walked through that fire and never were burned? What happened to your Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego faith? What happened to the fires that he brought you out of? How many times has he saved you and you keep talking about, I don't know how I'm going to do it? Do you? When did he let you down? Because you're comparing God to the man that let you on the ground. Why does that man get to be the definition of the man that you call yourself believing in? Because he didn't, so you can't? God isn't, because he wasn't? She didn't, so she can't? Really? Why does my comparison to something that is eternally plugged into me have to be by the humanity that has given me some other name? I don't know who you call me. It's madness. It's crazy. It's burning in a flame that you don't even realize that you've survived from. It's you. The madness you are carrying is you. If you would put down the expectation of what you thought you were supposed to be, maybe, just maybe, you could be who you're called to be. I can't ask you what I'm supposed to do. I can't talk to somebody. Sometimes you do have to call your friends, but sometimes you're asking them for the definition of who you're supposed to be, and then you go and adapt to that, and you never answered your call. See, I was just out here being what they said. I just adapted to the room. I kept the job. I made myself up. I got this way. I put on the clothes, and then I get home and I'm lost with me. And all I hear walking around the life that you pretended for me was a dial tone, because it's a call that I put on hold because it was calling me so I could be everything you asked me to be. It's madness. The madness is in you. The madness is you. The madness is you. The madness is you. And while you're driving yourself crazy, trying to adapt to a world that will label you and let you be lazy and let you be forgetting and let you get and not do your calling and not be who you are. And when you don't show up, everybody connected to your purpose is failing. Everybody that you are called to deal with, to be a part of, to implant in, to pour into, to save is lost because your phone has a busy signal because you're so busy being everything else they called you to be. How many times do you get to pick up the phone? The call is yours. It's planted in you. The madness is you. The flames are you. Do you honestly think that when we're going through menopause and we have these hot flashes that we don't sit here and feel like somebody put a flame on inside of us? We do. And then you got to go outside. And what do? We have to go outside. Oh, Jesus. Oh, Lord. You're finding fans. You're talking. You sit like a crazy person outside. Right? You talking crazy. Oh, Lord, somebody just, you ready to kill somebody. Because I'm hot. Well, what if I'm on fire for me?
Yes.
What if it's time for me to set ablaze? What if this means a new chapter and I'm on fire for me? What if that fire that's been shut up inside of me, the reason why I'm having menopause hot flashes is because I'm on fire for me. I need to set something ablaze. Where is my madness? What am I supposed to push out? What am I supposed to do? Who did he call me to be? I don't get to just stand here. I don't get to just go out and let the wind take it away. I am who he called me to be. The flame is in me. The madness is me. What am I supposed to be? Who am I supposed to be? I shouldn't be defined by the definition of what a woman is supposed to be. I shouldn't be defined by a definition of the choices and the choosing. When did it become so okay for me to decide today I just don't want to be? So I wake up today and because being me was too hard, I get to decide that you're going to call me something else tomorrow and I'm going to identify a different way? Why do I need to change my identity if I woke up me? Doesn't matter who I woke up with. Doesn't matter who was in my bed. Doesn't matter who was holding my hand. Doesn't matter what job I have. I woke up me. Identify me by my name. Because my sex is irrelevant unless you're getting it from me. So I'm confused. It's my name. So when people ask me things like, what do you identify as? Evie. Yeah, that's what my mother calls me. Evie. It's what people who know enough about me to ask me who I am, not what they need to call me. The problem is the madness is I get to rename myself so many times that I get to continue to pretend and never, ever descend on who I'm supposed to be because I'm too busy trying to be everybody you call me. What happens when my action words are not actionable? What happens when I'm sitting around playing with nouns and not understanding my verbs and running out here with adjectives and I don't have no action behind my words? What happens when nothing is said and you can't stand on it? If someone says to me, if Evie makes you a promise, you better guarantee she's going to be there. Why? Because her word, my name, matters to me. I don't want anyone to be able to say, well, you weren't. No, that doesn't sound like me. When people say, Evie didn't know, I have people in my life. My sister's here with me today. And she'll tell you, a promise? Broken? Not her. No, it'll be on her grave. I told my kids, put it on my headstone. Here lies the woman that never made a broken promise to us. That's it. Remember me for who I showed up as. Don't label me. Remember my madness. Because that's what made me me. Thank you.
Oh man, so the stage of flame. Really. Whew. I love how these stories, they kind of build on each other. How Kimberly was talking about the wilderness and embracing your jungle, and how she's talking about embracing your fire, embracing your madness, and using it as a tool to pave the path going forward, and not seeing it as a detriment, but understanding that it's part of who you are and it's your authentic self trying to come through and show you what direction you need to walk in. And if you need to step away, step back, step forward, step to the side, and trusting in that. So every time you come on stage, you just allow your heart to pour you put your mind to the side and you just speak from that place of power within yourself. So thank you, Evie. Say Dave before we bring up. All right, I'm gonna bring up Isabel onto the stage. As we finish up, I just want to thank everybody, all the speakers, for again coming through and giving a piece of your power and sharing a piece of your heart and being here with us as we have, been walking through this journey, through this last series of Pieces of Power, and really just being present, being vulnerable as we share a piece of, as we have been sharing a piece of ourselves. But going forward, we do have a new series coming up in April. I want Isabel to kind of explain that going forward.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Our 2025 Activate Your Power Now speaker series. You might have seen a little bit of marketing going out there with Activate Your Power Now Kansas City, and we had this vision and we were putting it together. But again, right, a higher source spoke and said, nope, change the trajectory. So our new series for 2025 is Activating Your Power. Our schedule is almost already full because what we have that we just love how it's worked out is repeat speakers from 2021 moving forward, people who have shown up year after year, being plugged into this community, continuing to get on the stage, whether it's one time for the year or not, right? But they're just still showing up for themselves, knowing that showing up for themselves is really showing up for other people. So we're really honoring these speakers through this next series. You're going to get a lot of the repeat speakers, but going through the series, we have some powerful topics. Keep an eye out. Matter of fact, will someone hand me a flyer, Chuck? It's right behind you. Let me read this off real quick because it's powerful stuff that came to us that God spoke, and we just feel that it's some good stuff that's going to help not only us continue to grow through our activation journey, but it's going to help a lot of people as well. So again, Activating Your Power in April. We're launching April 12th with Activating Your Story, right? We want to stop being a victim in life. May is Activate Reflection. Stop blaming others. June is Activate Forgiveness. Stop holding grudges. July is Activate Trust. Stop trying to do it all alone. August is Activate Change. Stop trying to fight growth. September is Activate Relationships. Stop being toxic. October is Activate Community. Stop judging others. And we will be closing our 2025 speaker series in November with Activate Your Voice. Stop hiding from your purpose. So stay tuned with marketing. We're going to be here at 87 Spot Nutrition in Overland Park, Kansas. Again, it'll all be on Saturdays, and we'll start at 10 a.m. Our practice of intention for the series moving forward will be starting on time. We thank all of you online. We're here extending it for 10, 15, last time I think it was 20 minutes because we're engaging with each other. But I know you guys are patiently waiting online, and I thank you for that. I thank you for continuing to be a part of our community. But we will be working next with our next series as we go start it and set that intention to honor you guys and all of ourselves and all of us to starting on time. So thank you again. I look forward to tell people that right? We know someone who, it's not telling people what they need to do in their life, but it's more of invite them, right? Knowing that we all, whether it's supporting or taking something in, we all have room to expand. We all have room to grow. We all are growing. Let's do it on purpose together.
Yes. Let's do it on purpose together. So we are looking for, if you feel called, if you want to share your story, if you're online, you're listening, you want to step up, if you're in person, you want to step up, just let us know, reach out, and we can get you on the schedule. Again, thank you for coming through, for supporting this community, and for being present and being in love. So we're gonna have a group picture over here by the sign.
Bye, everybody.
Yeah.